The topics and opinions expressed on the following show are solely those of the hosts and their guests and not those of W4WN Radio, its employees, or affiliates. We make no recommendations or endorsements for radio show programs, services, or products mentioned on air or on our web. No liability, explicit or implied, shall be extended to W4WN Radio, its employees, or affiliates. Any questions or comments should be directed to those show hosts. Thank you for choosing W4WN Radio.
Hello, everyone. Welcome, dear souls. Thank you for joining us today, and thank you for subscribing. And please comment. And again, if you missed the show and you'd like to contact us, don't hesitate to email us at angelbettyray@gmail.com. angelbettyray@gmail.com. And we'll be happy to answer any questions that you might have. And you can actually have a free consultation with the Archangel Raphael by simply emailing us at angelbettyray@gmail.com. We're here to be of service. This has been our goal for all of my life. And it is my joy because when I do a reading for someone asking Raphael to come through and give you a message, it just lifts me up so that the joy makes my hair tingle. You ever had that? You just feel so euphoric that it feels like you've got energy bubbling right out of the top of your head. That's what I feel when I can give a message to you through the Archangel. So please don't hesitate. Please email us if you need to at angelbettyray@gmail.com. Well, today's topic, Raphael has suggested that we talk about the misleading information all about prosperity and abundance. There's all kinds of ideas of how you can be rich and you can be prosperous and you can have all of your needs met. And I think that most people think about that as financial needs and not your emotional or your creative needs, because there's so much more to you as a soul than what your finances can give to you. And when you start thinking about just using this mantra every morning, which says, "Thank you, God, that all my needs are met this day and every day of my life." Let's say it again. Thank you, God, that all my needs are met this day and every day of my life. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And with that joyous attitude of gratitude, you will have your needs met before you even know you have a need. But it's not about visualizing a car. As a young man came to me and said, "I can't seem to make this thing work." And I said, "Well, what are you doing to make it work?" He says, "Well, I want this car. It's a red Ferrari," I think it was. I can't remember if I even know the name of the car. And he said, "I've got a picture of it on my refrigerator. Every time I open the refrigerator, I see that picture, and I really think I want that." And I'm sorry, I said to him, "Well, what kind of work are you doing to earn money?" And he goes, "Oh, well, I'm looking for a job right now." Well, I'm sorry, but I burst out laughing. And I said, you're expecting this to happen out of the ethers, and you're suddenly going to have this car parked in front of your house, but you have no method of paying for it. It's not going to be a gift. This is not how prosperity and abundance works. It works through your hard work, through your planning, through your being able to find the right job for you being able to manifest what you need rather than what you desire. So some people get the cart before the horse. You know, the cart's not going to go anywhere if the horse is behind it. It's not going to push it with its nose. And it's the same thing with prosperity and abundance. You can't just wish your way into whatever it is you desire. And so I had to give this young man a rude awakening. And I was reminded again about my husband, Joe. when he was a young man and had a young family, he worked three jobs to help take care of his family. And he was almost working 24/7. And that was because he knew he had to provide a home for them. He had to provide schooling and clothing and whatever it is that his three children needed. He had to work, and he did it because he found a job no matter where he was. Even since he was a child and he was on his own, he found work as a soda fountain jerk or whatever they call them. And other times he worked in a bakery and made donuts. And so he was working ever since he was young. And he knew that was the only way he was going to pay bills. So, how ambitious are you to make your prosperity and abundance a reality? Well, you got to think about the space between here and there, between there and where you get what it is you desire. And if it has to do with making money, then you have to figure it out from a standpoint of what knowledge do you need to gain. Like, for example, if you want to play with the stock market, you've got to have a bundle of money to do that to begin with. You can't just expect you're going to put money into the stock market and suddenly you're going to be a millionaire. Those are very childlike expectations. That's not very mature kind of thinking. And unfortunately, this young man had been misled by the ideas of visualization to make things happen. Now, I talk about visualization all the time. So, this is one of the reasons why we're talking about prosperity and abundance today, because it isn't just visualizing it, it's also taking the steps that are given to you by inspirations from God, step by step, to get where you need. And I'm going to use how I found this house one more time. Now, step by step means that before I came to this point where I wanted to buy this house and I had no money down, before that time, I made decisions way back about going to college. And so I went to college and I studied for 4 years. And then I studied for 2 more years and got a master's degree. I became a teacher and I made an income as a teacher when my children were small. I helped with the raising of my children through the income of my teaching. And my first husband was also a teacher. So we had prosperity and abundance, but we had earned it by our day by day studies in college that led to graduation, that led to a job in teaching. So you can't jump from one idea to the end of that idea without taking the steps in between. And that's why we're trying to address the misleading ideas that wishful thinking is going to get you what you desire. Doesn't work that way. If you get an idea, and for example, one of the ideas that I've had, one of the many ideas I've had in creating things, is a step-by-step thing. I have to, for example, I'm working now on making more forms of the archangels. I want to have 3 more archangels. I've got mosaic archangels of Raphael and Gabriel out front on my house. And I'm going to make 3 more, but they're much more simple. They're not going to be mosaic. That takes a lot of time, a lot of energy. So this time I bought the plywood. I've cut out the form. I'm going to paint the 3 archangels, Gabriel, I'm going to do Michael in red, and I'm going to do Uriel in yellow, and I'm going to do, oh gosh, I can't think of his name for a moment, Emmanuel in purple. And then they will have, like Michael will have a sword. And here's how things happen. When I desired to find a sword, I went online, of course, and there was a costume place where you could get this sword, and it was pretty expensive. I was surprised. But I had a friend here for the weekend and we went flea market shopping. And guess what? I found this gorgeous sword and I bought it right away. It was real. It was a real sword in silver. I was so excited that Michael, Archangel Michael, would have a real sword. And so now he's going to be just a simple piece of plywood painted red, And he's going to have this silver sword as his symbol for being the Archangel Michael. Now I'm going to do Uriel with a book, and I'm going to do Emmanuel with a cross, because Emmanuel represents our spiritual life. And so when you get these ideas, you have to take them step by step. You can't jump from here with the idea to the through the car out in front of your house. You have to take the step by step, getting a loan if you need to get a car, getting approved for the loan. And to get approved for the loan, you've got to have a good credit rating. Well, so when I went to buy this house and I found it and I had no money down, it happened because I have a teaching degree with a retirement income from it, as well as my retirement as an older person. So I had Social Security. So my income was sufficient that with no money down, I was able to buy this house. Now, it took planning from way back when I went to college, and also to get a master's degree. I had 4 children by the time I went to get the master's degree, and I went downtown Detroit at night to Wayne State University to get that. So where I would be teaching during the day, and my husband took care of the kids when I went to classes downtown Detroit. But it was a step-by-step thing that brought me to having that degree and to having that extra degree that allowed me to have the money to buy this house. So this is where prosperity and abundance gets off on the wrong foot. You can't jump from one part, just the idea. You can't jump from the idea to way over here to the conclusion of the idea. You got to look at the steps in between, and you've got to figure out how you're going to do what it is you desire to do. It might mean going to work extra to have the money to buy it, but don't get mixed up with this prosperity idea of visualizing and thinking that's all there is to it. But I do have to say, visualization is very powerful. And back when I first learned to meditate and to visualize, I visualized myself in my inner sanctuary, or the kingdom of heaven within me. And it was the perfect place in nature. And also, I created a house within that. And the house looked like, oh, you know, those big glass domes you put over a cheese platter? They're about this big. Well, this was my house up on a hill overlooking a lake, and it had this glass dome so that I could see everywhere and not have to be bothered with bugs. And so that was my vision that I had for many, many years. And in this home that I built, I had white carpeting on the floor in my living room. And in one corner, I had a fireplace. And then there were bookshelves on either side, oak bookshelves. And then it was windows all the way around. Well, when did I first visualize that? Well, it was many, many years later with my second husband, when we renovated his little 3-bedroom ranch and added on a library. In that library, I had windows on 3 sides. There was an oak fireplace in the corner with oak bookshelves going around, and the living room behind it had white carpeting. Now, I didn't intentionally remember my visions, my ideas of my perfect inner guidance or my inner sanctuary. I didn't remember that when that's how it became reality. That's not exactly the way we're being taught about how to visualize and hold on to that vision and we can make it happen. No, we have to figure out in the real world, step by step, how we make it happen. Now, I certainly didn't think that it would mean divorcing my husband of 32 years and 2 years later finding a man I fell in love with and in 6 months married him, that his little ranch house would end up looking like the vision I had many, many years before. So visualization is really important, everybody. It's really important to hold on to your dreams, but it's important to listen to the steps you are guided to take between now and then. I didn't realize that when I had that vision that it was not going to be with my first husband. It was going to be with a man I didn't even know when I had that vision. And that man turned out to be a wonderful husband. And so when you are following these laws of abundance and prosperity, remember this. You have to do the work. It isn't going to be given to you on a silver platter. You have to follow the divine inspiration step by step in order to get to your goal. And that means meditating every day and listening to what you need to do for that day. Now, if you're inspired to go back to school and to get a degree, and it means books and it means time and it means money, if you're inspired, it means it's the right time to do it. Or if you're just now starting out and you're able to go to college, give 100% of your attention to that because it will bring to you the prosperity and abundance that you desire, but it will be given to you in the way that God has planned for you to have it. And it will be perfect just for you. But don't try to commercially make it happen. Don't try to think about making money so that you can, or winning the lottery. Oh, dear heaven, help us. Please don't go looking to win the lottery. This can be a nightmare for a lot of people who have won the lottery because everybody has got their hand out. Please give me, give me, give me, give me. And then you want to help your friends and you certainly want to help your mom and dad or whatever it is in your family. And before you know it, if you don't give people the money, you don't have friends anymore. But isn't that the way to find out who your real friends are? Well, I hope it isn't through winning the lottery. I hope that you learn how to find prosperity and abundance through your own creative mind and the connection with God and its spirit to create all your needs be made. And that's why you need to start your day out by saying, thank you, God, that all my needs are met this day and every day of my life. Every morning, say that. Thank you, God, that all my needs are met this day and every day of my life. And God, you're the only one that really knows my needs. I won't try to figure it out. But when it happens, I will rejoice and give thanks to you for meeting a need I didn't even know I had. That's the way to create your life. You can't do it by putting a picture on your refrigerator. You can't do it by wishing for it. You can't do it by spending money on lottery tickets. That's not the way creativity works. Creativity works, and as you see the angel behind me, and also the mosaic of the two flowers behind me, they were inspirational ideas that were given to me. Now, I didn't do the angel over here. I had a picture of it that I had made out of cloth that I had used on a backdrop when I was doing readings and selling my first book at a Whole Life Expo. I had a big background that I was inspired to create, and I put it on it looked like a navy blue suede background, and I drew those angels, like the angel one over here. I have to see the opposite. I drew them out of cloth and I Velcroed them to the back of this background and hung it behind my booth. It was gorgeous. I had two angels. And across the front of it was the name of the book that I had published and I was promoting at that time. It was called Come Play with the Angels, which is no longer in print. But this was how I had been inspired little by little, step by step. Now, the thing that happened at this Whole Life Expo, just to give you an idea, when you follow the step-by-step inspiration that's given to you, it turned out that I had a sign-up sheet for readings, and I was booked solid every one of the 4 days that I was there. Booked solid. I did no advertising, except for the backdrop that I had been inspired previously to create. And it was just Come Play with the Angels, and it had two angels like the one over here. So when you are in need and you want a solution to that, how to create the prosperity and abundance to give you all of your needs being met, you ask for it in a way that leaves it open for you to take the step by step to get there. So let's go back to the house. When I went, first of all, I was living in a mobile home park and I got the impression to move. Now, God didn't say, Betty Ray, you are going to move. No, I just got the idea to move. And I thought, why? I actually argued with God. Why? I like it here. I like my friends. I've told this story before, so bear with me if you've heard it before. And I hope there's somebody out there that's going to talk to me. But anyway, if you're not and you hear me later, you know that I've had so many experiences about prosperity and abundance that the wisdom that Raphael has taught me is what I'm bringing to you right now. And so, dear friends, bear with me. So here I am. I've been told to move. I get in the car. I go looking at places nearby, and they're all terrible neighborhoods. And then eventually I come to Homosassa. And there is the house of my dreams. It has a bookshelves in the living room, floor to ceiling, side to side across one whole wall. And of course, I'm a book lover. I have tons of books. And right now, that whole entire wall is filled with books because I like to hold on to a book, which leads me to what I need to talk about today. And that is the exciting news that Raphael's book is finally in print. It's available at Amazon ebook for only 99 cents. You can get the ebook, or you can get the book in paperback form for $14.44. Now, I've mentioned this before, but it is my friend that is helping me to get this published. It said she chose that price because 444 is a very spiritual number. And so I said, fine with me. You're not going to make a lot of money in publishing a book, I can tell you that. But it's available now, dear friends. Ask Raphael. Go to Amazon.com, ask Raphael /Betty Ray, and that's RAE. And you can now get this book I've been talking about forever and ever. I'm so excited that it's now in print and in ebook. So that for only 99 cents, you can get out your little Kindle and you can read this book and be uplifted by all of the beautiful things that Raphael says. There's only divine light and goodness that it comes from this book. It will lift you up. And here again, if you are really learning how to be a co-creator with God, when you read this book, you will be given different ideas of how to do that. And it certainly isn't by putting a bulletin board with pictures of the things you want to manifest. Yes, you can do that if you have a problem visualizing, but that's just such a small little way that we actually manifest what we need. First of all, we don't always know what our needs are. God knows. And that's why you say every morning, thank you, God, that all my needs are met this day and every day of my life. You will be amazed at how serendipitous life can become. And that's where prosperity and abundance really comes from. By totally turning your life over to God and say, do with me as you wish, God, for I am but your humble servant. And when you do that, when you let go of what you think you want and you let God provide for you what you want, you're in for some amazing surprises. And that's where I'm leading today. Don't look at all these other rules of prosperity and abundance and figure that you have to meditate and visualize and work really, really hard. Because when you're working hard, you're anxious, and that's negative energy, and you've already canceled out anything that you can create. When you need something, you tell God what you need, and then you sit back and wait for ideas to blossom in your head. For example, if you need a new job and you've gone online to the job hunters and everything is online now, you can't go and hand over a resume to a place that you want to work. You have to do it and file it online. So it would behoove you to learn how to do an up-to-date kind of resume. It's different than it used to be. I actually had a course that I was inspired to teach to my 8th grade language arts students, and that was how to write a resume. So if you don't know how, go online and have somebody show you how. But you write a resume and then you say at the top what your goal is for this resume. And you look up what the company is that you're trying to get into, and you find out what their goals are. And then you say, this is how I could help you in your goal making. It's not what, oh, I'm really good at this, and you really need to get me on your team because I can do. No, it can't be I. It has to be what I can do for you as a company. And if you can keep that in mind, if you can have an open listening ear and not already have preconceived ideas or have misinterpretations of who you are, either being too good than who you are or not good enough. Most often people have problem being not good enough. Oh, I can't do that. I'm not that smart, or I don't have a degree. How can I? If you come forth with that kind of negative energy, of course you're going to fail. So, prosperity and abundance. It, first of all, is not having a big head that I can do anything. That's a yang kind of ego. Many people have yin ego like I do, which is I'm really not quite good enough. I'm really not smart enough. I'm really not this, not that, not this, not that. And I have to smack myself alongside the head and say, God has created me perfectly exactly the way I am. Whatever I have to offer is what is needed by the other person. And I will know what to put in my resume because I will study it not from what I have to offer as and most important, but from what they need in that job that I can fulfill. And so we are in the pandemic. And it isn't that you can go go in person and sell yourself in a job. You got to do it over the videos. And that means that you dress up, you wear a suit if you're a man, and you wear something that's very modest if you're a woman. And you have your resume in front of you, and you talk about what gifts and talents that you have that you can supply to this company that can make them better than they are now. And that this is your humble giving to the company's service. So be of service. Keep that in mind rather than expecting, as you would if you were to buy a lottery ticket, that it's just going to be handed to you because it won't be. And you're going to be one disappointed person. So, back to the beginning, prosperity and abundance is not something that you can create without having that connection to God in asking for all your needs to be met. And then each day, follow the inspirations that are given to you to take care of those needs. And know they'll be supplied, but also know an attitude of gratitude is so important, dear friends. An attitude of saying, thank you, God, that all my needs are met this day and every day of my life. And then when you recognize a need is being met that you didn't even know you wanted, like trying to find a house when Spirit inspires me to move and to find the perfect home but have no money for a down payment. And then I say to God, okay, what do I do now? And the inspiration that came, well, just go talk to a mortgage company. And because I had started out with years ago getting a college degree, getting a master's degree, being a teacher, retiring from a teacher and having an income from that, having my Social Security income, and I had another income that came from my husband when he passed away. And so I had three incomes, which meant that with no money down, I could still afford to pay the house payments. Now, that didn't just happen. And I certainly couldn't conjure up a second husband who would pass away ahead of me and leave me part of his income. I didn't anticipate that, the generosity. He took less money when he retired so that I would have an income after he was gone. Now, prosperity and abundance is what I've had, but it's not something I visualized. I certainly wouldn't visualize an extra income because my husband passed away, but that was how it was given to me. It's how 10, 20 years after my husband passed away, I still have income that gives me prosperity and abundance. Now, again, I'm not lucky. I took the step by step stages from the time that I was just a young person to go to college, to get a teaching degree, to teach, to retire from teaching and have an income, and then to begin to think about what else it is God wanted me to do in this world. And this is why, with those choices that I made, and now I have an income, I no longer charge you for the readings with Raphael. I'm giving back all of the prosperity and abundance that has been given to me, not because I just asked for prosperity and abundance, but because I followed the divine inspiration each moment of my life. Each moment, I followed the divine inspiration. Even when it said move, when I had had no desire to leave where I was living, I loved it there, but I followed the inspiration and I found this house. I had no money for a down payment. I found out, well, the first mortgage company I called, when they checked out my credit rating, now there again, a credit rating is something that you have to take care of by paying your bills on time, by having a credit rating that says you can be trusted to pay your bills on time. And so I have a very high credit rating. And that didn't just happen. That isn't just visualizing I have a high credit rating. No, it's due by paying the bills when they're due. It means that you take the responsibility for whatever you charge on your credit card and you pay it off every month. You don't build it up until you have to go bankrupt, which so many people have done. And yet what they've done is they've walked away from a debt that they're going to have to pay one way or another, because you can't have debts when you go into heaven. And you will come back to work out how to balance the budget in another lifetime if you don't do it now. Wow, that's a lot to think about. I would hope that you are going to be able to tell me in the comments or by emailing me at angelbettyray@gmail.com how you are doing financially. How are you doing in paying your bills? Are you having a struggle because of the pandemic? Did you lose your job? Are you having problems putting food on the table for your children? If so, ask God for help, and then it will be provided for you. There are food banks, there are places where you can go. The stimulus checks that are coming will help, and jobs will begin to open up again as we are conquering this pandemic. And it will end. Believe me, it will end, because we're getting the shots in the arms, as they call it, and that's going to prevent the spread of it, and eventually it will no longer have a hold on our planet. So take a deep breath. Take a deep, slow breath, dear ones. And as you exhale, let go of all of that anxiety, because anxiety blocks your ability to create the prosperity and abundance you desire. Fear is a killer of prosperity and abundance. Fear that you won't have enough is creating not enough. But when you do everything you're inspired to do to create prosperity and abundance, and if it hasn't come yet, this is where you still thank God every day for whatever you can think of and for all that you can't think of, knowing that God will provide your needs every day of your life. And a grateful heart will open your mind, where a fearful heart will close your mind to the inspirations of how to gain your own personal prosperity and abundance. Now, I'm keeping track of the time because I usually go way over. So let's reiterate here. I don't see any questions. I'm looking to see if there's anybody that's got comments. Oh, we do. Okay. Thank you. There we go. I was looking at the wrong place. Thanks, William Kenner. This is Dr. William Kenner, who used to teach at Michigan State University. He says, every intentions that energy into motion, whether you are conscious of it or not, every intention puts energy into motion, whether you are conscious of it or not. So start looking at what are your intentions? And you're right. Thank you, William. And he went on, each word that you speak carries consciousness. And more than that, it carries intelligence and therefore is an intention that shapes light. Very much to think about there. And William is saying again, sending you Michigan sunshine, and I'm sending you Florida sunshine right back. Thank you for joining us today, and thank you for your wisdom. You know, you've had a lot of life in what you have lived through so far. You did some amazing teaching when you were at Michigan, at University of Michigan, teaching there, and you've had the unfortunate experience of having MS. And you have dealt with it with a joyful heart. And because of that, you have still sent out so much goodness into the world as you are right now by joining us. And so, thank you. So let's repeat what you said. Every intentions, that energy sends out energy into motion, whether you are conscious of it or not. So if your energy is negative, you're going to get back negative responses. So he goes on to say that each word that you speak carries consciousness. And more than that, it carries intelligence and therefore is an intention that shapes light. So when we talk about you being a light worker, if you have good intentions, if you have joy in your heart, and you are bringing forth smiles and laughter, even if you're wearing a mask when you're out, which I hope you do, even if you got the shot, please continue to wear a mask because it is only a courtesy to others to say that you are thinking about them. And you can't go around with a sign on your forehead that says, I've had a shot, I'm immune. You still need to wear a mask as a courtesy to other people. But here again, it is not just that. It is the smile that you give to people even when you wear a mask. Your eyes light up and you're sending light, as William says. So he's not only sending us Michigan sunshine, he's sending his intention, which is full of light and sunshine. And there across the screen is angelbettyray@gmail.com. There you go. If you have a question, please don't hesitate to ask us. Raphael and I will give you the information as it comes through me. I'm just a telephone. As I tell people, I'm not a psychic and I'm not a medium, but the information that comes through Raphael makes it seem like I am, particularly if you ask to speak to somebody who's crossed over. Raphael can do that. I can't. I'm not one who speaks to those who have crossed over. But if I ask permission from Raphael and Raphael asks that spirit's permission, then it can happen. We can talk to those who have passed on. But again, it's not Betty Ray, it's Raphael. And so I humbly say to you, Raphael is generous enough to offer this gift of channeling that I have to you free of charge. And so, dear ones, don't hesitate to contact us, angelbettyray@gmail.com. Okay, more questions? I hope there are more viewers that would like to say something. Okay, live viewers' comments. All right. Okay, let's see. We are talking about prosperity and abundance. You can't wish for it. You cannot wish for having all your needs met. You have to learn to listen to the inspiration and the ideas that come to you, sometimes in a flash like that. And when you get an idea, then you have to be willing to pull it into the physical reality. And it's like the shopping that I did with my friend that was here, a brand new friend. She had learned about me through this video, and we got connected, and I invited her to come and stay with me for a weekend, which she did. And we spent one day shopping at the flea market. And that's where I found the beautiful sword that will be the symbol for the angel that I'm creating to represent Michael, the archangel. And there, see, you never know when you're going to have your needs met. If I hadn't invited this person to come, if I hadn't told her about the flea markets, because she said she loves to go flea market shopping. If I hadn't taken her to that flea market, I wouldn't have found that beautiful silver sword that will be the symbol for my wood Michael, that will simply be painted red, and he will be wearing a pendant that will show that is the red stones of his energy, because he is the strength of for each of us. He is the power that protects us. And that's why he has that red energy, which says that he's in charge. And that's where you can be sure that when you call upon the Archangel Michael, when you need strength to do something you don't think you have strength to do, he'll help you. He'll provide it for you. And that's where you call upon all the different archangels. That's where they can show you the way to prosperity and abundance without thinking about finances as being the only way of getting there. Prosperity can come in so many different ways. If you are a creative person, you may end up doing some amazing paintings that people will can't wait to buy from you and ask you to please make for them. When I started doing mosaics, I had a friend that gave me a picture that she wanted done in mosaics. And I made it on a piece of wood that was 2 feet wide and 2 feet wide this way and 4 feet long. And it was a picture of well, she just wanted a picture, if I remember right. And I was inspired to use stained glass that looked like water. And by cutting it in lengths of the width of the picture, and then cutting it in triangles and putting it back together exactly as it was in a solid piece of glass, it looked like the water. And then I had trees that were coming from this side of the river that was there. She lived right on the Manhattan River, and New York was on the other side. And so on the other side of the river, I had this purple mirrors that were both dark and light. And so I made buildings, little buildings across the river, and I shaded them with the dark side so that they looked three-dimensional. So across the river were these, and she had a picture. So I even had a particular tower that she could see. And so I duplicated the picture that she had. And the river was the focus point with this beautiful mosaics, stained glass rather. And then for swans that were in the river, I used pearls. I was inspired to use pearls. And I just made them in the little form of a swan on the river. It was beautiful. And she loved it. She has it hung somewhere. So there you go. I made money on that. I had no intentions of being a mosaic artist where I would make mosaics for people, but I ended up doing it because I followed the inspiration that's just like this beautiful little one behind me, right back over there. That's simply a piece of plywood. And where it's dividing the leaves that you can see, I got to move over this way. That's mirrors that makes it look like it's divided. But then I used stones, and I can't even tell you the kind of stones because I'm not into rocks and stones and their vibrational energy and all of that. But those are real stones. They're not just colored rocks. And I was inspired to put that little piece together. Now I've got a second one still in my art studio, and it'll be just another color. So the flowers will be a different color, but it's very much a duplicate of that one. And so I've got that to look forward to. So, dear friends, we're just about out of time. And I want to say to you again, you are divinely created by God to do what only you can do. Nobody else can do it. God created you. And even, William, you are such a creative being. I remember you buying these sun catchers that you put all along your window. And that wonderful beauty that was given to you inspires you. So I know you can type, and I know you have so much, really so much to speak about. That where's your book? Have you started writing your book yet, William? Because you have something to say. So begin typing it. And I don't know how, if it's difficult for you to type. I do know that you can do, if you have an up to date machine, you can dictate and it will write it out. So tell people what your wisdom, share your wisdom with others, William, and share your humor and your light with others. And if necessary, I'll help you create that and put it out on Amazon because you do have something to say. And no matter what your state of health is, your mind works perfectly well, and you will be able to share your wisdom with others. And I thank you again for coming on our show and sharing that wisdom. And I'm going to repeat it. You said, every intention that you speak carries consciousness. And more than that, it carries intelligence and therefore is an intention that shapes light. We are all made up of divine energy, but we live in a planet of both polarities of light and dark. We live in a planet of opposites. Everything has an opposite. And so there's light and there is dark, and there are all shades in between. Our self doubt and self deprecation, putting ourselves down, saying we're not good enough for this or we can't do that, even though we've been inspired to do it, that's the dark side taking over. Don't ever let that happen again. When you get inspired to do something that seems beyond your ability, simply ask for step by step how to get there. Don't think that the end results is how you're going to get there right away. It's going to take step by step. And believe me, that's what happens. Oh, William just added that. He says, you motivate me, Miss Betty. I'd love your help. Well, you certainly are going to get it if you ask for it. And he says, sure do miss our hours of conversation, laughter, and even tears. Well, William, I'm only a phone call away. Who says you can't continue doing that? I know you can't just get up and come down here to Florida and visit me, but who knows? Maybe you can. So here again, pick up the phone and all you do is email me and I will give you the phone number. I will not put it out there for everybody. You have to email me to show your good intent and then I will give you the phone number. Now, because I won't give it just to everybody. I already know your good intent. But heck, we can talk on the phone and we can enthusiast one another. That's not the right words, but I don't always get the words. I get them scrambled upside down and backwards. But people will eventually figure out what I'm trying to say. And I know I don't always stick to the subject. I had a friend of mine who was a teacher at Wayne State, and she told me how I wander and I get off the topic. And so I try to stay on it more and more now. And so today's intent is prosperity and abundance. Prosperity and abundance. And even though we are quickly running out of time, I want to say to you again, you are a co-creator with God. You are on this planet to explore it, to explore every part of it, the dark and the light. You are here to be a co-creator with God. Pay attention to the inspirations that you are given. And yes, William, you've got a book to write. Let's do it. You can write anything, and I can help you publish it. I have a friend who knows how to do it. She helped me, and I can help you. And I've tried helping another woman, but I had to give up on her because she didn't even know how to do a sandwich paragraph. Now, William, you probably know what that means. And she didn't know how to put one paragraph together. She was all over the place with no organization, no idea of how to write. And so I had to turn her over to somebody else that would have more patience than I did. But, one thing I learned about this, and I am running out of time, about publishing on Amazon is that some people send their books to Amazon without editing them. Please don't do that because it destroys the credibility for writers like me. I put my books in a bookstore, and when she found out they were written or published on Amazon, she immediately was skeptical until she began reading my work and could see that it was valuable. And so look up Ask Raphael, Amazon.com, Ask Raphael /Betty Ray, RAE, and please do purchase our book and then give us a rating, hopefully a 5-star rating, because it can become a #1 bestseller. If all of you out there will purchase the book, you can either get the ebook for 99 cents or for $14.44 the paperback. And then when you read it, ask questions here on this channel, clarification of anything, so that when I do a revision of the book, I can put those in it. And thank you for your support. Raphael and I come each time to give you the wisdom of an archangel. And so help support his work by simply buying the book, Ask Raphael, on Amazon at this time, and give us a rating. A 5-star would be great. So thank you for coming today. I know that I maybe have a few minutes left. I'm going to go 2 minutes left. I probably have even less than 1 minute. Okay, I'm down at the end. I'm finally glad I'm sticking with it. God love each of you who listens to us. Tell the world about Ask Raphael and Betty Ray. And please send out the word that now that book is out there with all the questions answered. And if you've got more questions, send them to me, and the new revision of the book someday down the road will have your questions as well. God bless each of you. Take care. Come back again next week. Bring your friends. Tell everybody about us. And thank you for supporting our work. God bless you.